Okay, so are you ready to dive into something kind of crazy?
Always.
All right, good. Because today we're talking about the end of the smartphone,
Whoa.
as we know it at least.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Right. It sounds impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, we use them for everything.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a lot of talk about what's coming next.
Like what?
You know, AI assistants, spatial computing, even some people think we'll go back to simpler devices.
Oh. Yeah, it is a pretty wild time to be watching all of this unfold.
It is.
But, this kind of disruption has happened before.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Think about it. We used to use handwritten scrolls. Then the printing press came along.
Right.
Then we had telegraphs, and those quickly became telephones. And then, boom, smartphones changed everything.
Yeah, that's true. It's like every time we figure something out, something new comes along and changes the whole game.
Exactly. And it happens so much faster than you might think.
Yeah, like remember those old Motorola flip phones
Oh, yeah.
from like back in the 90s?
Yeah.
You would get like 20 minutes of talk time.
Right.
And people only really used them for emergencies.
Totally.
But then everything changed so fast.
Yeah.
So it really makes you wonder, what's next? What's the next big thing for how we connect and communicate?
Right. Are we about to see one of those massive shifts again?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Especially when you think about how smartphones have changed since the first iPhone came out.
In 2007.
Yeah,
Yeah. And, I mean, have they really changed?
that's a good point.
They've gotten better. Sure.
Like a better camera, faster processor, but
The design is basically the same.
yeah.
That little black rectangle.
It really hasn't changed.
It makes you think, is this it?
Right.
Like, have we done everything we can with the smartphone design?
Is this as good as it gets?
Well, I mean, some of those really futuristic things you see in movies, like transparent phones
Yeah.
or holographic displays, that's still a long way off.
Right.
The tech just isn't there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like a partially transparent phone, Samsung filed a patent for that a few years ago, in 2020, I think.
Yeah.
And nothing, it's like we're hitting a wall with what we can do with this design.
But you know what I think is always going to be the biggest problem? The thing that just drives us all crazy?
Battery life.
Battery life. It doesn't matter how big they make the battery.
Uh-huh.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
Is there anything out there that could, like, actually last more than a day?
Well, there is some really cool stuff happening with battery tech.
Oh, really?
Like graphene batteries, those are getting a lot of attention.
What are those?
So graphene is this super thin and strong material,
Okay.
and it could totally change how we design batteries.
Hmm.
We could have batteries that are smaller and lighter,
That would be great.
but also way safer because lithium-ion batteries,
Which is what we use now.
yeah, those can overheat,
Right.
which can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But graphene batteries, they're much more stable,
Okay.
and they hold way more energy.
So you're saying,
Imagine a phone that charges in minutes
wow.
and lasts for days.
Okay, that would be a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence, because it's already in our phones, but it feels like we're barely using it.
Oh, totally. AI is changing so fast.
Right.
And one of the most interesting areas is large language models,
LLMs.
LLMs.
Exactly.
Exactly, like ChatGPT. So now imagine that kind of power in your smartphone.
So our phones could basically be like super smart assistants.
Yes.
We could just tell them what to do and they would take care of it.
Right. And I'm not just talking about setting reminders or making calls.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about your phone understanding complicated requests. Like, okay, phone, I need you to book a flight to London for next week. Make sure it's a direct flight and the hotel is near the conference center. And it all has to stay within my budget.
And the phone would just do it?
Yeah, it would interact with all of the different apps and services and make it happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So it seems like there are two paths for the future of mobile tech.
What do you mean?
One is like going deeper into the digital world.
Okay.
And the other is making tech almost invisible.
Yeah, you're right.
So on one hand, you have VR,
reality,
augmented reality.
which Apple is calling spatial computing.
Right.
And those are becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
Devices like the Apple Vision Pro headset and Meta's Quest.
Exactly. They're letting more people try these really immersive experiences.
It's like you can step into another world.
Yeah.
Which could be amazing. Like imagine learning about history by actually being in ancient Rome
Oh, wow.
in VR or designing a building using AR.
Yeah, you could manipulate 3D models in real time.
The possibilities seem endless.
Yeah.
But I do worry about the downsides.
Like what?
Are we all just going to be stuck to screens even more than we are now?
That's a valid concern. We already have problems with screen time and digital addiction.
Right. So that's definitely something to think about. And then there's the cost. I mean, these devices are still pretty expensive.
Yeah, not everyone can afford that.
Right.
So then on the other side, you have this idea of invisible technology,
Yeah.
making tech seamlessly integrated into our lives.
Yeah, without needing screens or big headsets.
Right. And what's an example of that?
Well, there's the Humane AI pin. It's getting a lot of
I
buzz.
haven't heard of that. What is it?
It's a small wearable device,
Okay.
like a pin you wear on your clothes,
Uh-huh.
and it uses AI and voice commands to do things for you.
Oh, so it's like a tiny assistant.
Yeah, you can ask it questions, make calls, get directions, even control your smart home devices, and you never have to take your phone out of your pocket.
So how does it work?
It projects information onto your hand using lasers.
Lasers.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it sounds cool, but
All right,
I don't know. I'm a little freaked out by a device that's always listening and watching.
that's fair. I mean, it does raise some privacy concerns for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's the big question with all of this, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Like the future of mobile tech, it's not just about the devices themselves, it's about how we want to interact with technology in general.
That's true.
Like, are we going to be constantly connected, constantly bombarded with information,
Right.
or can we find a way to use technology more intentionally?
Yeah, those are the big questions, and there aren't any easy answers.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
But the more we understand about these new technologies, the better choices we can make about how we use them.
So, what do you think? Are you more excited about the possibilities or cautious about the problems?
You know what? I think that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah.
It makes you step back and really consider what kind of future you want to see.
I like that. And we've only just started talking about this.
Yeah, there's so much more to explore.
There is a lot to unpack when it comes to the future of mobile. So, we'll be right back to continue our deep dive after a quick break.
Okay.
So, it's interesting. We're talking about all this advanced tech,
Yeah.
but at the same time, there are people moving in the opposite direction,
What do you mean?
like ditching their smartphones for simpler devices.
Oh, yeah, the dumb phone trend.
Exactly. It's like a digital detox.
Yeah, people are trying to get their time and attention back.
Right, because the digital world is just so demanding.
It really is, and it's not a small group of people anymore.
It isn't.
No, there was a report on CNBC recently that said sales of dumb phones are actually increasing.
Really? I thought it was just a few people who, hate technology.
Nope, a lot of young people are doing it,
Huh.
especially Gen Z.
That's interesting.
They grew up with smartphones, so they're starting to see how being constantly connected can be bad for you.
Yeah, it can be exhausting.
They can.
It's like we're addicted to notifications.
Right, always feeling like we have to be available.
And respond right away.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research that shows reducing screen time is good for your mental health.
So are these people, going off the grid completely?
Not necessarily, they're just setting boundaries,
Okay.
being more intentional about how they use tech.
Like they still use social media and stuff?
Yeah, but they might do it on a separate device like a tablet or
So
laptop.
they're not letting their smartphone control their lives.
Exactly.
So it's like choosing a different relationship with technology.
Yeah, you get to decide how you want to use it.
Not the other way around.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how this will all play out.
And all the new tech we were talking about.
Yeah, will it be like everyone just does their own thing?
Or will there be some kind of middle ground eventually?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it makes you think about what the ideal relationship with technology would even look like.
Right.
We all want the convenience and connection,
Of course.
but we don't want to be consumed by it?
It is a tricky balance, and there's no one right answer.
Yeah,
What works for one person might not work for another.
true.
But the important thing is to be aware of the choices you're making.
Right.
Be intentional about how you use technology.
So we've talked about immersive tech and visible tech and this back to basics movement.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the future of mobile is less about one specific device
Yeah.
and more about having a lot of different options.
Right, for different needs and preferences.
It's kind of cool, actually, like tech adapting to us.
Yeah, instead of the other way around.
It really highlights how important it is to think critically about technology
Totally.
and to make our own choices about how we use it.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
But we need to understand the options so we can make the best decisions for ourselves.
This has been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has.
What's been the most surprising thing for you?
I think realizing that the future of mobile isn't just about the technology itself.
What do you mean?
It's about how society changes how our relationship with technology evolves.
Oh, that's interesting.
The devices are just tools.
Yeah,
It's up to us how we use them.
that's a good point. We have more power than we think.
We do. We can shape the digital world.
We can.
It's not about being anti-technology or rejecting progress.
Right.
It's about being thoughtful and making conscious choices.
I like that. So what can people do to be more mindful of their tech use?
Well, first you have to be aware of how you're using it.
Like track your screen time.
Yeah, think about your relationship with tech.
Okay.
Are you using it in a way that makes your life better?
Right.
Or is it stressing you out, distracting you, making you feel overwhelmed?
So take a look at your digital habits.
Exactly, and see where you can make some changes. Once
Right.
you understand your own patterns, you can start setting boundaries.
Like what?
Maybe you have tech-free zones in your house.
Okay.
Or specific times when you check email and social media.
That makes sense.
Or just Try to notice how often you're on your phone.
Yeah, good tips. It's all about finding what works for you.
Right. Create a digital environment that's good for you.
I like that. So it's not about being perfect.
No, it's about making small changes.
That can add up over time.
Exactly. It's a
Not
journey.
a destination.
And it's a journey we're all on together.
That's true.
Tech is changing so fast, we need to keep talking about it.
Right.
Share ideas and support each other in finding that healthy balance.
This has been a really great conversation.
It has been.
Thank you for sharing your expertise.
You're welcome. I always enjoy these discussions.
We've covered so much today,
Yes.
from AI assistants to minimalist devices.
Yeah, and everything in between.
The future of mobile is definitely exciting.
It is.
And maybe a little bit scary.
Maybe.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It really is. And who knows, maybe we'll all be communicating telepathically soon.
Haha, yeah, right.
You never know.
Well, for now, we have our smartphones.
And this crazy world of mobile technology.
Yeah, so what do you think is the most important thing for people to remember?
I think it's that we have the power to shape this world.
We do.
We have to use that power wisely.
That's a great message. Thank you again for joining us for this deep dive into the future of mobile.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed it.
I hope so.
And that you'll keep thinking about these topics.
Yeah, stay curious.
Stay informed and keep ducking deep.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of wild to think about how much mobile tech has changed.
Yeah, in such a short time, too.
Right, like just in our lifetime.
It is pretty amazing. And the crazy thing is, we're probably just getting started.
You really think so?
Oh, yeah, this whole tech revolution.
Mm-hmm.
What we think is like cutting edge today,
Yeah.
it might seem totally outdated in a few years.
It's true. Like, think about when the first iPhone came out.
Oh, man.
Everyone was freaking out about the touchscreen.
I know.
And now it's just normal.
Yeah, you don't even think about it.
Right.
So what's next?
Exactly. It's hard to say what the next big thing will be.
Yeah, but it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting.
Things are changing so fast.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the future of mobile,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways you hope people will remember?
I think the most important thing is that we have a choice.
What do you mean?
Like, we're not just along for the ride with all this new tech.
Okay.
We get to decide how we want to use it, what role we want it to play in our lives.
Right. It's easy to feel like we're just being swept along with all this change.
Yeah, but we're actually in control.
We are.
We have the power to decide.
Okay.
So that means being informed, being critical,
Yeah.
thinking about the choices we're making.
Like what kind of phone we use, how much time we spend online, what information we share.
Yeah, we have agency.
We do. I like that that's not a message of fear.
No, it's a message of empowerment.
Exactly. Technology can be a really good thing.
It can.
But we have to use it wisely.
Absolutely.
Keep asking questions.
Keep asking questions.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Stay curious.
So for all our listeners out there, think about your own relationship with technology.
Mm-hmm. Are you using it in a way that works for you?
Are you setting boundaries?
Are you staying informed about what's new, what's changing?
Those are good things to think about.
They are the future still being written.
Yeah,
We get to shape it together.
we do. So let's do it wisely.
Let's stay connected.
And keep exploring.
All the amazing possibilities that tech has to offer.
This has been a great deep dive into the future of mobile.
It has.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
We hope you've enjoyed it
I hope so.
and that you'll keep diving deep into the things you care about.
Keep learning, keep exploring.
That's it for today.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of tech and innovation.